start.
sir.
Good morning, and started that spectrum. So, as I told you, Bohr's atomic model, the biggest drawback and the questions mainly asked from this Bohr's atomic model was related to this that it is only for mono electronic species. Bohr's atomic model is only for monoelectronic species, means hydrogen or hydrogen-like species. Hydrogen or hydrogen-like species, what does it mean? It means H, Li2 plus or He plus, like this. So any species which is having one electron only, for that only it is suitable. So this was the biggest drawback of Bohr's atomic model. Screen whiteboard is not visible.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Now it is visible. So as I was telling you, now we have to start about the spectrum. And yesterday we discussed a few points related to this spectrum, that emission spectrum, absorption spectrum, line spectrum, and band spectrum. Line spectrum is always atomic spectra, and band spectrum is always molecular spectra. And in emission, you will always be getting bright lines, and in absorption spectrum, you will always be getting dark lines. So, as Shri Ramakrishna asked me, Shri Ramakrishna is there? Shri Ram, are you there? So, as he asked me about the anode rays, so we'll be doing about anode rays also, but not today. Next class, we will be taking care of that too. As as I told you, that as we all are having a specific genetic composition, we too, if even we are twins, then also can never have same genetic composition. Everybody is having their specific number of genes or their sequence or the gap between them. No two persons, even if they are twins, then also can never have the same genetic composition. Like as we all are having a specific genetic composition, no two elements can ever have same spectrum. So every element will be having their own spectrum, means will be emitting or absorbing light of certain specific wavelength, and no other element can ever have the same spectrum, or you can say can absorb or emit the light of the same wavelength. Yeah. Yeah, please.
Sir, are you writing anything on the screen, sir?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So what we did yesterday, the same thing. I'm just having a very fast look so that we can connect the previous class with today's class. So as I told you that atomic spectra are discrete, specific. Spectrum, today we'll be talking about the spectrum of the atom. Now see, atomic spectra are discrete. What does it mean? It means will be emitting or absorbing light of certain specific wavelength. Fine, will be absorbing or emitting light of certain specific wavelength, or you can say frequency. Wavelength or frequency. And any other frequencies are never emitted or absorbed from the same element. So that is what the meaning of discrete is. Now in our course, or you can say related to this Bohr's atomic model, only spectrum of the hydrogen atom is there. Spectrum of the
So what is that, sir? Atomic spectra
are discrete. It's written here, na? Atomic spectra are discrete. Discrete means certain specific frequencies are emitted or absorbed by each atom and other frequencies are never emitted. Means one element can absorb or emit light of certain specific wavelength or light of certain specific frequency and will never emit any other light of any other frequency or light of any other wavelength. So that is a specific characteristic feature of that specific element. Now we will be talking about the spectrum of the hydrogen atom. Spectrum of the hydrogen atom. Fine. As I told you, hydrogen is having only one electron. So only one spectral line must be there from the spectrum in the spectrum of the hydrogen atom, but was not so. Many spectral lines in the spectrum of the hydrogen atom was there. Reason, hydrogen is having only one electron, but that one electron can go to different excited states now by absorbing light of different wavelength or light of different frequency. That one electron can jump to many excited states. This is first excited state, this is second, this is third, this is fourth, this is fifth. It can be of any number. So when electron obviously absorbs energy, then we go to different excited states, and in that excited state, it won't be staying for a long time, will again be coming back to the ground state by absorbing light of certain specific wavelength. Since different wavelength of different light of different wavelengths are emitted to go back again to the ground state, so obviously you will be getting many spectral lines in the spectrum of that monoelectronic hydrogen atom. So that's the reason that hydrogen is having so many spectral lines there in its spectrum, although containing only one electron then also. So hydrogen, as we know, is the simplest atom, and its spectrum is also simplest. Hydrogen is simplest atom and simplest. It has simplest line spectrum. Line means atomic now, so simplest line spectrum. You know, hydrogen is having only one electron, so that's the only one atom there in the entire periodic table which is having 0 neutron. So this hydrogen spectrum was the first to be observed by Anders and Angstrom. So Angstrom first observed this spectrum of hydrogen, and John Balmer related the wavelengths of the various lines that are observable in the visible and near UV parts of the spectrum. This set of lines is known as the Balmer series. So John Balmer was the first one who observed these spectral lines there in the visible and ultraviolet region of the spectrum, and the set of all those lines which were observed by John Balmer is known as Balmer series. Then see, if we'll see the spectrum of the hydrogen atom, then many spectral lines will be getting, and all those lines on the basis of their wavelength can be divided into different series. First series is Lyman series. Lyman series. In Lyman series, then Balmer series, Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen series, Brackett series, Pfund series, Lyman, Balmer, Paschen, Brackett, Pfund, and last is Humphrey. So these are you have classified spectrum of the hydrogen atom on the basis of the wavelength into different series. So many, as I told you, so many spectral lines there in the spectrum of the hydrogen atom will be there. And those lines will be classified into different series, that is Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen series, Brackett series, Pfund series, Humphrey series, on the basis of their wavelength. See, in case of Lyman series, N1 is ground state and N2 is excited state. So in Lyman series, N1 will be 1, and what about the N2? 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. any number of, this is the number of shell, and this is number of final shell. N1 means the first line will be there in the first shell, and Balmer series, that is N1, there will be 2, here it will be 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here N1 is 1 in Lyman series, so N2 will be 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. And in Balmer series, N1 is 2, so N2 will be 3, 4, 5, 6 like this. Here it will be 4, 5, 6. Here it will be 5, 6, 7. Here it will be 6, 7, 8, then 7, 8, 9, like this you will be writing. So on the basis of the wavelength, you can classify different spectral lines into Lyman, Balmer, and different series, you can say. Lyman series is there in ultraviolet region where it lies. This Lyman series lies there in the ultraviolet region. This Balmer series lies there in the visible region. See, all Balmer series lines are there. They are in visible region, but all lines, all lights which are there in visible region can't be Balmer series. Can't be there in Balmer series. So all Balmer lines are there in visible region, but all visible lines are not there in Balmer region. So ultraviolet region, visible region, then Paschen bracket and bracket are there in infrared region, and this lies there in far infrared region. So you can classify spectral lines into different classes, and their N1 and N2 values are given here. Their N1 and N2 values are given here. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 series are there. Now, you have classified all these spectral lines into different series. Now, what next is, as I told you, atomic spectra. As I told you, atomic spectra and molecular spectra. What's the difference between them? Molecular spectra and atomic spectra. This is line spectra, and molecular spectra is band spectra. What's the difference between line and band? Line spectra is discontinuous spectra. Between lines, gap will be there, na? Discontinuous spectra. And band spectra is continuous spectra. That's the difference between atomic, line, discontinuous spectra, and molecular spectra or band spectra and continuous spectra. So now this is all about the spectra of hydrogen atom. You know, this question is also there. Many times they asked this question related to the wavelength of the light. See, if we'll classify all these radiations on the basis of wavelength, then radio waves are having highest wavelength. And as you know, wavelength is inversely proportional to frequency. If wavelength is more, then frequency will be less, or we can say energy will be less. Frequency and energy are directly proportional to each other and will be inversely proportional to the wavelength. If any light or any spectral line is having high wavelength, then its energy and frequency will be less. So see, radio waves are having highest wavelength. Since the wavelength of the radio waves are highest, that is 3 into 10 to the power, that is 3 into 10 to the power 14 to 3 into 10 to the power 7. This will be there in angstrom. Fine. And less than radio waves, wavelength of the microwave will be less than radio waves. Second will be microwaves. Their wavelength is 3 into 10 to the power 7 to 6 into 10 to the power 6. And the wavelength of the infrared radiation will be lesser than even microwaves. So first having highest wavelength is radio wave, second is microwave, third is infrared radiations. Its wavelength is 6 into 10 to the power 6 to 7600 angstrom. And less than this infrared radiation, it is visible radiation or visible light. Its wavelength will be 7600. You know, we've given 7600 angstrom to 3900 angstrom or 3800 angstrom in different books. You will get the different value. Then the wavelength of the X-rays, then the wavelength of the X-rays will be even lesser than visible rays, and its wavelength, exact value of wavelength will be, sorry, after this visible, it will be ultraviolet rays. The wavelength, and after ultraviolet, it will be X-rays. So visible wavelength of ultraviolet light is lesser than even visible light, that is 3800 to 150 angstrom. And the wavelength of the X-rays are even lesser than ultraviolet rays. We should know this order. They asked so many times about related to this all wavelength and their order. Then less than X-rays is gamma rays. Gamma rays are having wavelength from 0.1, ranging from 0.1 to 0.01 angstrom. And the cosmic rays are having least wavelength. Cosmic rays are having least wavelength, that is from 0.01 angstrom to 0 angstrom to 0 angstrom to 0 angstrom. See, this is the order of wavelength. This radio waves is having highest wavelength. What does it mean? Means its energy will be minimum. Its frequency will be minimum. And cosmic rays are having least wavelength. What does it mean? Means their energy will be maximum or their frequency will be maximum. So this is the order of different radiations on the basis of their wavelength, or you can give this order on the basis of their frequency or energy also. So radio waves are having highest wavelength, so cover longest distance. And then after radio wave, it comes microwaves, then infrared, then visible, then ultraviolet, then X-rays, then gamma rays, and then last is cosmic rays. So cosmic rays are having highest energy or highest frequency, or you can say lowest wavelength. So in terms of wavelength, this all order you have given. So this also they can ask you and will be used there in numericals too. And this also, this order is also very important. From here also they can ask you questions. Is this okay? Now we'll go to the next screen.
So these waves are used in?
These waves, you know, visible rays. Visible rays are there in visible region, and ultraviolet rays and all these radiations are there in different sources of light in sun, ultraviolet, infrared, and visible lights are there. X-rays, you know about X-rays. X-rays are used for what? And the microwaves are used there in cooking purposes, not only in cooking, in other purposes also. And radio waves, you know, radio transmission. So all these rays are having different applications. And you know, cosmic rays are not there, you never heard of, because cosmic rays are very highly energetic radiations. So that radiation will be very harmful for us. And you know, this UV radiations is responsible, ultraviolet radiations coming from sun is responsible for skin cancer. If there will be depletion in ozone layer, if there will be ozone hole, then these ultraviolet radiations from sun will be coming to us and will be causing skin cancer. So these ultraviolet radiations not only causing skin cancer, but will be protecting you from bone cancer also. So causing one sort of cancer and saving you from another sort of cancer. So, and a visible, so your eyes are accommodated to see visible light only. You can't see ultraviolet or infrared radiations. Reading of visible light can only be possible for you. That's why in night you can't see. That's why night you can't see. But owl is having this capacity of reading there in ultraviolet radiation too. So it can see there in night also. You know, in Big Boss and so many serials, all these TV serials, night vision cameras are there. Na? In those night vision cameras, glasses are able to read even in ultraviolet light too. So that's why in night also, in dark also, photography or shooting can be possible if you use it. So ultraviolet glasses or lenses are not so common. They are there in the market. Only it is only for this film industry, and it is only for military purposes. For these two purposes only, it is allowed. It is used. We can't get it there in the open market. Is it okay? Now see,
Okay.
okay, fine. Now see this all these after this all radiation. Now we'll be talking about the quantum or wave mechanical model of atom that is given by Schrodinger. Quantum or wave mechanical model. Quantum or wave mechanical model. This quantum or wave mechanical model is given after the drawbacks of this Bohr's atomic model. When we came to know about the drawbacks there in the Bohr's atomic model, then there was a need of a new model which can be better than that one, which in that model, all those limitations which were there in the Bohr's atomic model can be addressed. We were looking for that sort of model. Schrodinger gave this quantum or wave mechanical model. This was given by Schrodinger. According to this Schrodinger's quantum or wave mechanical model, what you said, de Broglie's dual nature of radiation, that is addressed, that is included here. De Broglie's dual nature of radiation. In this quantum or wave mechanical model, this de Broglie's dual nature of radiation is included. Uncertainty principle, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Uncertainty principle that shows wave nature. And de Broglie's dual nature of radiation shows wave as well as particle, both natures. Wave and particle, both natures. And here it is only wave nature. So you can say wave theory of radiation as well as quantum theory of radiations, inclusive of both this quantum or wave mechanical model is. Then Bohr's atomic model. Bohr's atomic model, inclusive of all previous atomic models. According to Bohr's atomic model, that confirms that electron shows particle nature or quantum nature. Bohr's atomic model that shows that electron or radiations are having particle nature. So this is inclusive of all atomic models. That is particle nature means Planck's quantum theory of radiation. This is Planck's quantum theory. This is Planck's quantum theory of radiation. This is wave theory of radiation. This is inclusive of both wave and quantum theory of radiation. Fine. So wave mechanical model or quantum mechanical model of atom is developed from is developed from is developed from all these models on the basis of Einstein's this Einstein's mass defect equation, de Broglie's dual nature of radiation, Heisenberg concept. So from everywhere they took points and made a new, that is quantum or wave mechanical model. See, yesterday only we discussed that according to Bohr's atomic model, electrons around the nucleus revolves in circular orbits. This was Bohr's atomic model. But according to this modern atomic model, wave mechanical model or quantum mechanical model, electron around the nucleus revolves like that of a bee around the hive. Sometimes that bee will be most closest to the center. Here it will be most closest and here it will be most distant. So it will revolve around the nucleus like this, that is elliptical orbits, that is elliptical. As planet revolves around the sun, they are in elliptical orbits. Like that, electron also revolves around the nucleus in elliptical orbit, as B revolves around the hive. Sometimes it may come close to the, sometimes it may come very close to the nucleus, and sometimes it will be far away from the nucleus. In one plane, it doesn't move. In one plane, it doesn't move. According to Bohr, it was moving there in one plane only. One plane only means distance between the electron and the nucleus was always uniform, but here distance between the nucleus and the electron cloud won't be the same. So this was there in one plane, and here it is not in one plane. It moves in all direction, moves in all directions, moves in all directions and all planes around the nucleus. So that's the difference between Bohr's atomic model and this quantum or wave mechanical model. What are the postulates of quantum or wave mechanical model of the atom? What are the postulates of this wave or quantum mechanical model? So postulates, see, here you need not to bother. What you wrote up till now include everything here in this quantum or wave mechanical model. How it can be? See, energy of electrons are quantized. Energy of electrons are quantized. This was there in Bohr's atomic model. Then second point, del X, that is Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, del X and del P, change in position and change in momentum of a microscopic particle can't be determined simultaneously with certainty. Del X and del P can't be determined simultaneously with certainty. Any one thing will be certain, second will be uncertain. That is Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So everything, inclusive of everything, inclusive of all previous models, that is what this quantum or wave mechanical model is. Then next, an atomic orbital is the wave function. An atomic orbital, this is an atomic orbital. Atomic orbital is wave function, that is psi. What it is? Psi. Atomic orbital is wave function for an electron. Atomic orbital is the wave function psi for an electron in an atom. Means electron occupies that orbital, and many such wave functions are possible for an electron. Electron occupies an orbital. Electron occupies an orbital, and many such wave functions are possible for an electron. Maximally in an orbital, two electrons can be accommodated and their spin must always be opposite. Many orbitals, what does it means? Means different energy level. Every orbital will be having different energy. So many orbitals means different energy levels. So next is probability of finding of electron. Probability of finding of electron in orbital will be maximum, and that is denoted by psi square. Psi square means square of the wave function, that means probability density. This psi square is square of the wave function, that is probability density, and this probability density will always be positive. Probable psi square is probability density and psi was wave function. So this is the square of wave function, that is probability density for an electron, and is always positive. It is always positive. It can't be negative. Then the last point for this, yeah.
Sir, can you repeat the fourth point, sir, as you said probability of finding after that, sir?
Probability density of finding an electron. Psi square means the probability density of finding an electron, and that will always be positive. That will always be positive. Fine. This psi is one dimensional. This psi is one dimensional, and this probability density is three dimensional. This probability density is three dimensional, and this psi is one dimensional. You know this psi one dimensional. Psi is one dimensional. What does it mean? Psi is one dimensional means you are here talking about the orbit, and this psi square is three dimensional. This psi square is three dimensional. What does it mean? What you are talking about here? Can you tell me this? Psi square
orbital, sir.
Yeah, very good. Now, Shriram, you are there. You joined little late.
Sir, I was there, sir, from 9 means 8:50 only, sir. Like
Okay.
network problem was there.
Okay, not an issue. I was just calling your name. So psi is orbit. Psi is orbit. That is wave function. That is always one dimensional. And psi square is orbital. That is always three dimensional. That's the difference between psi and psi square. Psi square means probability density, and psi is the path on which electron revolves. That is orbit. That's the point. Fine. Now
Yes,
what?
sir.
Now what last point is? Fifth point for this quantum or wave mechanical model is existence of quantized electronic energy levels. Existence of quantized energy levels. Yesterday also we were talking about the quantization. Quantized energy levels. Quantization means dividing into different levels. That is the meaning of quantization, and will always be in whole number. It can't be there in fractional. Will always be integral multiple. So existence of quantized energy, that is always electronic energy. Electronic energy means electrons energy. Always existence of quantized electronic energy level. Quantized electronic energy level is the direct result of the wave light properties of electrons. So existence of quantized electronic energy level is the direct result of the wave light properties. So this quantized means quantum mechanical model, and wave-like properties is wave mechanical model. So that is what we told there in the beginning itself. This quantum or wave mechanical model is inclusive of all previous models, whether it is wave nature of radiation, quantum theory of radiation, or de Broglie's dual nature of radiation, or Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, inclusive of everything. And then we added few more points. This quantization of energy was there in the Bohr's atomic model, and this psi and psi square, also psi is orbit, that is one dimensional, and psi square is orbital, that is three dimensional. So these are the postulates of Schrodinger wave mechanical or quantum mechanical model. So now see, now we'll be talking about the Schrodinger wave equation. So derivation of that equation is not there, just we need to write, means directly they will be asking you equation to write that equation, or will be there won't be any numerical etc. based on that. So just only derivation or just only equation is there in three dimensions. In three dimensions, the Schrodinger wave equation what Schrodinger wave equation is del square psi upon del x square plus del square psi upon del y square del y square plus del square psi upon del z square plus 8 pi square m upon h square E minus V psi is equal to 0. What x, y, and z are? X, y, z are Cartesian coordinates. Are Cartesian. Cartesian coordinates means space coordinates. Cartesian coordinates means space coordinates. This is x, this is y, and this is z na. So three Cartesian coordinates, that is the space coordinates, showing direction, showing different direction and distance. What m is? M is the mass. You know about h, Planck's constant, pi is 3.14. Fine. E is potential energy. Sorry, E is the total energy. E is the total energy and V is the potential energy. E is the total energy and V is the potential energy. So this is all about the, when they'll be asking you Schrodinger wave equation. So you have to write this all along with all these notations. You must have to specify all these notations, then only we'll be getting full marks. V is the, E is the total energy and V is the potential energy of electrons. So, and psi is already, we have discussed about psi. What psi is? Psi is amplitude of wave. Psi is amplitude of wave. Psi is amplitude of wave and is called wave function. And it's called wave function. In previous screen we discussed now, it is wave function and psi square is probability density. And what del square, what del square psi upon del x square is, it is second derivative second derivative of second derivative. There you wrote probability density, the same thing. Here you will be writing it second derivative of psi. That is probability density. Now, when the solution of this Schrodinger wave equation, the solution of Schrodinger wave equations are known as wave functions. When the Schrodinger wave equation is solved for an electron in a hydrogen atom, several solutions you will be getting. When this Schrodinger wave equations is solved for an electron in a hydrogen atom, we will be getting many solutions, out of which only certain solutions are permissible. Those solutions which are permissible are called Huygens functions. Those solutions, you will be getting many solutions when you will be putting values for hydrogen atom, then you will be getting many solutions, out of which few will be permissible. Those permissible solutions of this Schrodinger wave equation are called Huygens functions. So each permitted solution corresponds to definite energy state and is called orbital. So Huygens functions are only permissible solutions of this Schrodinger wave equation if you will be putting values for a hydrogen atom. So this question, this statement, what I'll be stating next, was also there in the examination. This was proposed by Bohr. Each orbital considered as quantum mechanical analog of electron. Each orbital is considered as quantum mechanical analog of electron orbits. This was proposed by Bohr. This question was there in IIT-JEE. Each orbital is considered. What orbital is? Orbital is quantum mechanical analog of electron. Quantum mechanical analog of electron orbits. So you know, orbits means the path on which electron revolves, one-dimensional psi wave function, and psi square is probability density, that is orbital, where the probability of finding of electron is maximum. That is what the meaning of probability density is. Now see, this was all about the Schrodinger wave mechanical or quantum mechanical model. Now, this all mechanical models are over. These all mechanical models are over. So, once again, J.J. Thomson, I'll repeat the same. J.J. Thomson, according to J.J. Thomson, it's a hard, dense ball, spherical, and made of equal, uniformly distributed electrons and protons, electrically neutral. Diameter of the atom or radii of the atom will be 10 to the power minus 10 meter. Then Rutherford model here it was like this. This is Thomson's model. And then Rutherford's atomic model, this, and here negative. Nucleus was discovered and the radii of the nucleus was 10 to the power minus 15 meter order. Then Niels Bohr's atomic model. See the chronology of this atom. This is Niels Bohr's atomic model. Here you'll be writing like this. This is Bohr's atomic model, Niels Bohr's atomic model. And according to quantum mechanical model here, then this will be the, so this is quantum or wave mechanical model. So see this all chronology of the atomic models, how with time it was developing. And now see, as I told you, they are in the first and second class, that in next class we will be focusing on numericals only based on this all. So now in first or second class I told you completely half-filled and completely filled orbitals are always more stable than incompletely filled. Incompletely filled orbitals will always be unstable. So each and every element tends to have either completely half-filled or completely filled orbitals so that stability can be attained. Now there is question why these completely half-filled and completely filled orbitals are stable. Two reasons are there. Whenever orbitals will be completely half-filled or completely filled, exchange energy will be greater and symmetry will be greater. So due to greater symmetry and greater exchange energy, completely half-filled and completely filled, both situations are always more stable. And when orbitals will be incompletely filled, then exchange energy will be less and symmetry will also be less. So that is what the reason is. Now see, we'll be talking about different isotherms. Different isotherms.
Sir, incomplete orbitals, they'll be not stable, sir, or more
Yeah.
stable?
No, it will always be unstable. Always be unstable. Only completely half-filled and completely filled will be stable. That's why each and every element tends to have either completely half-filled in case of chromium, molybdenum, or completely filled there in case of copper, silver, gold, etc. So many more exceptions we discussed there in the first, second class. Now we'll be talking about various isotherms. See, first
Sir,
is
and what about pseudo electron? Sir, what about pseudo noble gas configuration?
Pseudo noble gas. See, this is noble gas configuration. This is noble gas configuration that is there in Na plus, that is there in Mg2 plus, that is there in Al3 plus. This is noble gas configuration. What about the pseudo noble gas configuration? That is 2818. This is pseudo noble gas configuration, that is possessed by Cu1 plus, Ag1 plus, or like this, zinc 2 plus, zinc 2 plus. So many more you can write. So 18, if 18 electrons are there in the valence shell, that is pseudo. And if 8 electrons are there in the valence shell, then it will be inert gas. See, since you spoke about this, so we'll be taking one more point. We'll be discussing one more point. This will always be more covalent. This will always be more covalent, and this will always be more ionic. What this is? Fajan's rule. Third point of Fajan's rule is this. If pseudo inert gas configuration is there, then will always be more covalent. And if inert gas configuration will be there, then will be more ionic. This is third point of Fajan's rule. This is third point of Fajan's rule. Is it okay? So now isotopes.
Yes, sir.
Isotopes C612, C614. Here see, electrons are 6, protons are also 6, neutrons are also 6. Here electrons are 6, protons are 6, and neutrons will be 8. So see, isotopes are those species which have same atomic number but different atomic masses. This is very common definition. Everywhere you will get it, but this definition is common, is not so common. Isotopes are those species which have same number of electrons and protons but different number of neutrons. So isotopes are those species which have different number of neutrons. This definition is little rare. So Just stress on this definition. Second point is isobars. Isobars are having same atomic weight. Here atomic number same and atomic weight different. Here atomic weight will be same, opposite of this, same atomic weight but different atomic number. Different atomic number. C. Calcium 20, 40, argon 18, 40. Here weight is same. Here weight is same and number is different. So these two are examples of isobars. What about electrons, protons and neutrons? Electrons will be different. Protons will be different. Neutrons will also be different. So none will be same. Here electrons, protons and neutrons all are 20 in nature number. Here electrons and protons are 18 and neutrons are 22. So electrons, protons, neutrons, nothing is formed there in case of isobars. What about isotones? In case of isotones, number of neutrons will be same. Number of neutrons will be same. For example, C, potassium 19, 39 and calcium 20, 40. Both will be having 20 neutrons now. Both will be having 20 neutrons. Here electrons will be 19. Here electrons will be 20. Protons will be 19. Protons will be 20. So just opposite of this isotopes. Opposite of this isotope is isotones. In isotopes, neutrons are different. In isotones, neutron will be same. Here electrons and protons are same. Here electrons and protons will be different. That's the point. That is isotones. Then fourth is iso. You know about isoelectronic species. Isoelectronic species means having same number of electrons. Since electrons are same, so their electronic configuration will also same and chemical properties will also be same. Isoelectronic species C
O2
Na
minus,
plus
sir.
is
Na
Na
plus.
plus, Mg2 plus, Al3 plus, N3 minus, O2 minus, F minus. So see again here, you must know atomic number. That is what from the day when I am telling you periodic table. So these all are having same number of electrons, so will be isoelectronic. And since their electrons number is same, therefore their electronic configuration will also be same and their chemical properties will also be same. Now the next one is isosters. What isosters are? Isosters are those species which have same atomicity and same number of electrons. Same number of electrons. CO2 and N2O. How many atoms are there? This is having 3 atoms. This is also having 3 atoms. So their atomicity is 3. What about electron? 8 plus 8, 16 plus 6, 22. So 8 plus 8, 16 plus 6, 22. 7, 7, 14 plus 8, 22. Both are having 22 electrons and their atomicity is also same. That's why both of them are isosters of each other. What last is isodiaphers. Isodiaphers. What's the meaning of isodiaphers? Same isotopic number. Isodiaphers are those which have same isotopic number. Isotopic number. What isotopic number is? Neutron minus proton is isotopic number. Isotopic number means the number of neutron minus number of protons. See, in case of potassium 1939, how many neutrons are there? 20. How many protons are there? 19. So what will be the isotopic number? 1. What about fluorine 919? How many neutrons are there? 10. How many protons are there? 9. So isotopic number will be 1. So isodiaphers are those species which have same isotopic numbers. So these were few isotomes. Isotopes were discovered by, this isotope was discovered by Soddy. Soddy discovered isotopes. So these were few isotomes. So this was all about the atomic structure theoretical part. And in next class, we'll talk about photoelectric effect. thermoionic effect, that's black body radiation also, and then numericals. So in next class, we will be finishing this chapter. Fine. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much,
sir.
you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye,
Good.
sir.
Fine. Bye. Take care. Thank you.
Recording, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll do that. Fine. Thank you.